Today we're going to talk about different ways of putting together Megatree and different parts that are required that are sold on the 3G Lighting Creation store. Some of the materials you'll have to purchase from your home improvement stores, such as the pipe going up the center. That should be about all you have to purchase at the store. When you purchase these, all of the home improvement stores that I'm aware of, I know Home Depot and Lowe's, they will cut and rethread it to length for you free of charge. So if you want a 16-foot tree, you would buy two 10-foot links and have them cut one of them at 6 foot and rethread it, and so forth. Now, we suggest using the 1.5-inch pipe just because of its durability and its reachability on when it's up. And I know on ours, in our displays, we have used this pipe, and it has gone through 60-mile-an-hour winds, no problem whatsoever, held up just great. Now, if you're in a situation where you cannot bury a pole in the ground and concrete it in, we have a few base plates that can be used. These plates right here come in two different sizes, depending on your soil condition. If you have a very hard and rigid soil condition, you want to go with a smaller plate. It sits in the ground a little bit easier, doesn't mess up the grass as much, doesn't have to worry about it sinking. If you have something with a little bit softer soil, you're going to want to go with a larger plate so it doesn't sink in the ground. Now, on these plates right here, you're going to notice we have holes drilled in them. So what this is for is if you don't want to use the crank to crank your heads up and down, you can use these holes to put eye bolts in, such as this one right here. Right here, it has the eye bolts installed. You can, once again, get these eye bolts at any of your home improvement store. And this right here, we'll talk about later in the video on how to, when you rig your pole, on how to attach your ropes to it. Now, when you go to set the pole up, you want to take and set this in the ground. Once again, if you had the eye bolts, it'd be right there. You would take your pole. In this case, we've cut it down just for this video, so you can keep it in the video. And it would set over the top of this, and this would be in the ground. It would make it rigid, so it doesn't kick out on you. Now, on the store we have guy wire kits. Guy wire kits come with one end crimped on here. We machine crimp them, hydraulic crimp them on here. Then you get an eye with two clamps on the other end. They come 32 feet in length, so you can cut them to any length that you need, depending on what size tree you need. 32 feet should easily cover a 20-foot tall Megatree. If you have one smaller than that, then you just cut the cable to the length that you need. Now, if you're going to have a smaller Megatree, I would probably say the 12-foot range, maybe a little bit smaller, we have the hook heads that are threaded. They have threaded coupling in here. They come in 16 peg and 24 peg, depending on how many strands of light you wish to put on there. On this one right here, as you can see, we've got one made up right here. We have different bushings. You screw star mount bushings right in here, and then the stars are going on top of it. The bottom end is designed for an 1.5-inch pipe, which would thread right into the bottom right here, right on top of your pole. The reason we recommend these for 12 foot or less is because you have, with this in here, once you stand the pole up, you have to be able to get back to your hook head. On these right here, as you can tell in them, the braces in the center will work perfect for your guy wires. You can take and attach your guy wire around here, come to the ground, you're done. Put your bushings in. If you wish to have a star, if you're going to use smaller than an 1.5-inch pipe, then you just size it accordingly to the type of bushing you want. Goes in the bottom, as explained earlier. Now, for the hook heads that you want to slide up and down a pole, say you want to crank them up and down a pole like so, we have these two hook heads. Both of them come in 16 and 24 pin, come with the eyelets welded to it. On these right here, once your pole is, you would rig your pole up, set it on here, put it on here, and it would be ready to go, and your ropes would go up to your pulley, and you'd use a guy wire adapter. We're going to talk a little bit about the guy wire adapter. Right here, this is set up right here. It's got your 3 rings welded to the top. This right here would be for your guy wires. Your guy wires would take, and you can use either a shackle or removable ring. As you can see, they attach very easily, right through there. Close it up, you're good. I'm sorry. Up here's for your guy wires. They go to the ground, as you can see in the model that we have over here. Now, for your pulleys, we use the same exact setup. You can use either shackle or removable chain link. Once again, sets right in there, attaches to it, so forth. All these parts are available on the store. For your guide wires, at the bottom end right here, you can see turnbuckles. This would be for the end of the cable that sticks out that is not crimped on here. You can just run it through your loop into here, and you're set for your guide wire. Now, back to the rigging of these. When you stand the poles up, if you're going to use one that you crank the head up, you're going to put your guide wire adapter on first. As the pole's laying on the ground, attach all your guide wires to it, you would stand it up. Your guide wire, the crank up Mega Tree head, hook head, would sit here. Now, in this case here, you can use either the boat winch crank ups that a lot of people like to use. You just clamp it to your pole, rig through here, or if you don't have that many lights and you can hand crank it, we can use ropes. As you can see how everything is assembled right here with the pulleys through here. One thing I'd like to point out is how you rig your ropes. It's very important that when you rig your ropes, you actually come through this part of it right here, not through the outside of it. The reason being on that is once you raise it all the way up, if you rig it to the outside, your rope comes around this way and it's going to actually bind. Whereas if you come through right on the edges, through the holes, it won't bind up. Now, as we talked about earlier, with the eye bolts in the bottom of the base plate right here, this is going to show how we have it. This would be used mainly if you are not using the boat winch. This way here, you have something to tie your wires off to once you raise it up. Now, when you rig your ropes, you simply tie it onto the eye bolt that's welded to the hook head right here, which is this right here. You come up through your pulley, around, back through. This is the part that we were talking about is very important. Back through this right here, and to your eye bolts. You do this on both sides. Once you have it up in the air, you have it attached right here. At this point here, you can just take it and roll up with it. Once it's all the way up, as you can see how the rope goes through here, it doesn't bind when it comes up. At this point here, you would just tie your ropes back to the eye bolts and you're set for the season. When it comes time to let it down, you just undo your ropes, let it slide back down. And if you notice on here on our couplings, they're flanged. That's to go over if you're running more than 10-foot pole and you have a coupling in here. Right here, it slips over the coupling easily. Right over the coupling, just like so. Doesn't bind on it. Everything's fine. Come down, you'd remove your lights, pack your pole away, and have many more seasons to do this in. That's all the parts right here necessary to build a Mega Tree kit from anything from 4 or 5 feet tall up to as high as you want to take your pipe to go to. Once again, we recommend if you go over about 12 feet, we highly recommend the 1.5-inch pipe conduit threaded on both ends just for its durability. That's about it.